Hello, everyone. This is the last presentation. It marks the end of the class for the most part. Today, I'm going to be discussing preparing for finals, so that includes discussing how to handle study week and also how to handle finals week, because finals week can be quite hectic, especially if you have, say, maybe two exams on one day or back-to-back days of exams, or maybe you have all week of exams. It can be quite difficult, and I'm gonna give some tips and just some general motivation to help you get through the next last 2 weeks, and then everyone can enjoy winter break. Here's a little meme, me during finals week. I think we have a few before it gets here. He's right. That's how it'll feel during study week. Next thing you know, you're watching this presentation maybe on Monday if you're watching it, and next thing you know, it's already next Monday and it's the start of the finals week. That's how it will feel so fast. And I imagine this is very true for everyone, especially how I did not realize that after Thanksgiving we'd be having finals like in less than 3 weeks. So it's here and it will be rolling up right before we know it. Here's what you don't want in general. When you see the first question in your final and you already know you're going to fail. That is one of the worst feelings. So today we're going to discuss how to not feel like that because if you see that, that might be just negative momentum during that exam. And next thing you know, you might be retaking that class, or you're just not, and ending up with the grade you didn't plan on getting. So this is two important questions we're going to answer: how to prepare for finals, and how to survive finals week, because finals week can be quite difficult. Here are some typical student responses to this question. What are some common strategies students are using this week to study for finals? Typically, I would do this presentation live, but this is what I've gotten in the past. Everyone, even if I advise against it all semester and we give tips on why not to do it, everyone will do cramming. It's just what people will do. So a lot of people will say cramming. Another one that is very common, it's kind of a new word that you're not so familiar with. It's called revising your homework exams. But really, that just means like revisiting and like kind of just redoing it, not just like skimming it and just like oh, thinking it's gonna absorb. Actually, break down the problem, start doing the problems like it was like do the problems like you would do on an exam. If you're allowed to have a calculator, have your calculator, have your pencil. That's pretty much it. Kind of simulate a exam sort of situation scenario, but also be somewhat realistic. Say you're not really understanding it. Okay, look at how to do it correctly, and then try it again maybe later, or just move on to the next problem and try to test yourself in a little bit. And by revising it, is you're trying to understand where you made mistakes previously and how to improve upon those mistakes to do better next time. A big one is asking your professor. It's gonna be on, especially during study week. Ask your professor what's gonna be on the exam. Be straightforward. Some professors don't really like it; they won't really answer, but some will. And next thing you know, better have that pencil and paper ready so you can take those notes quick. So, for instance, you might ask professor, "Hey, well, maybe if you ask what will be on the exam, they will probably maybe not respond to you. They might be like, everything is in the syllabus. But maybe sometimes you can be more specific. Maybe there's something you don't really know if it'll be on there, or it's just something that you need to study. I don't know. So sometimes there's a topic you know. So you're like, hey, professor, will X, Y, and Z topic be on the exam? And maybe they'll say yes, maybe they'll say no. And sometimes that can actually be beneficial because sometimes you might dedicate too much time in something, but really won't be able to focus on the final exam. One thing to do, a common technique that I really recommend and we discussed in the study tip before is the Pomodoro. This is really important during study week because you're kind of burnt out, you're kind of done. You might be experiencing the end of semester slump. Just get through it. Just grind through it and use a Pomodoro to help you. It's positive reinforcement and it'll reward you for doing your work and reward you with taking a break from that work. And it'll give you a little bit of a mental break. Study groups. This is really useful if you're lacking motivation and you thrive in a group setting. Some people will like going into a library, going in a study room, and studying with a group of 4 or 5, or however large. And some others this might not be because they can't focus. For me, I can't really study with other people. I have to read by myself, read notes, and that's how it is. Another one, active procrastination. This one I wouldn't necessarily recommend during the study week because you want to kind of just prioritize and chunk. That's what the next thing is. You kind of want to prioritize what needs to be studied studied the hardest. For instance, say your math class is really hard, but your one of your gen ed English classes is not as hard. The final won't be as difficult. Well, if you actively procrastinate, you'll be spending maybe unnecessary time on that English for that final, whereas you could really be prioritizing that math. So I would recommend against active procrastination during study week. Here, this little image, I don't know if you'll be able to see it too well. I don't think I can zoom in. No, I can't zoom in. But what it says, I'll go over really quickly. What separates successful students from the rest of the class? These are kind of all the strategies covered this semester, and they're still applicable. Make sure what you learned this semester, don't just forget it. Actually apply it, and really, really make sure it be reflect, and actually apply it because this is the end all. This is the end. This is the end of the semester. This is where you put your greatest effort and your greatest foot forward just to finish, and then you reward yourself with a 1 month break practically. So some cool things are habits. Um, have a good time management during the study week. That's really important, and also during finals week. Set some goals. Set some goals of how you want to prioritize and chunk. Make sure you still get enough right sleep each night, and I will definitely discuss this during finals week in the next couple slides. Attitude. Have a positive, self-confident attitude. A lot of students will just really doubt themselves, and I really think that will affect poorly on your grades and your exam scores. If you go in an exam, you're chest up and you're just confident, I'm gonna do good, or even the attitude that I'm gonna do my best, and no matter what happens, I will do great. I'll accept it. That attitude is much better than entering an exam saying, I'm gonna fail. That's just not a positive attitude. It's really just that's gonna be negative momentum when you do the exam, and it's not gonna be good when you get the score back. Health. Make sure you're still active. You're eating healthy, staying active. Try to stay away from stress because finals week is already stressful enough, and also preparing for finals is stressful enough. And try not to get yourself overwhelmed. Another one is take notes in classes. And the other one's just don't party, I guess. Yeah, don't party during the finals week, inside week. You don't want to set yourself up for failure. So, a couple of things keep in mind. I think they're really important. And let's go to the next slide. The basics. Okay, here are some of my tips. Know your final schedule. I know I'm sometimes guilty of this, and I'm bad at planning sometimes. But really, pull the syllabus, get your final schedule, so you know. Okay, Monday I have this, Tuesday I have this, Thursday I have this. This will really help you with your study plan and also your prioritization because if you know Thursday is your hard math exam and Monday you have another exam, you know you can really put you can like plan out when to study. For instance, you're going to want to be studying a lot more for that Monday exam um, earlier on in the week, study week, compared to that later class, like say that Thursday exam, because there's some leniency. You can maybe even study a little bit during finals week. Like you could be studying Monday, Tuesday during finals week. So there's some leniency and you could fluctuate your schedule. And the way you do that is knowing your final schedule. Make a study plan and hierarchy. This is prioritization I discussed earlier. Chunk out study times. This is kind of with the Pomodoro and overall just general study time, general chunking out. So for instance, we all have the routine still. Stay true to the routine. Maybe you don't have a class. Maybe the classes have been canceled this week or saying if you need anything, come to my office hours. So instead of just doing nothing during the empty class period, essentially, take that time and still do the class as you would, but maybe you're not going in person or you're staying home, but you're still working on that class. So for instance, say you have a class on Tuesday from 10 to 11:15, and it's your English class. The professor says, don't worry about coming in. If you have any questions, send me an email but there won't be any class during study week. You might say, "Oh, I'm gonna sleep in and just kind of ruin your routine and be too relaxed, and I'm not really studying too much." But instead, be proactive. Take that normal class period of time and just study. Dedicate maybe an hour 15 to study that class, and you'll feel much better about yourself. During study week, this is very important, and also during finals, make sure to take breaks. This is really important because we don't want to burn out right at the end. We're kind of, like I said, we're kind of maybe already in a slump, so don't completely burn out. Take breaks, take mental breaks, get in your active rest or like active recovery would be like taking a walk or do like playing video games or just don't take too much time away from your study, but get that active recovery and just a mental reset. Do your best and accept the results. Some of it's covered by the camera, and it says try not to stress. This is really important. This is just to help promote a positive and self-confident attitude and really just to boost your mental morale, especially entering the exam. Finals week. Okay, let's go over this quickly. It's already going 10 minutes. Finals week. How to handle finals week. The hard work should be done once it's finals week. Don't cram anymore. Cramming will not help you. Maybe a little bit, but it would cause a lot more stress and maybe it just won't be as good. So make sure you get a good night's sleep before and also get proper nourishment. Make sure you're eating a good breakfast for an exam or in a lunch or whatever your exam is. Make sure you're eating. You're not going to the exam wired on caffeine and no food and no sleep. That will be a recipe for disaster. That will set you up for failure. Don't do that. Review the day before. This is what I kind of do sometimes when I have an exam is I'll so as you can tell, kind of more so maybe towards like math focus, but this can be for anything. But create a formula sheet. What I really mean is like just summarize stuff. Summarize the quick things you'll think you'll be on the exam and also try to review and understand the concept. So for instance, let me see if I can do it. Say in chemistry, you're going to be learning about, um, honestly, I don't know. But let's say you're learning about a topic and there's some quick formulas that you probably will see on the exam. Write them down. Make sure you understand them. It's kind of just to help you see them and see if you can do active recall. So like, hey, okay, if it's physics, F equals ma. Okay, well, F equals force, equals mass times acceleration. And what is that really telling me? What story is that telling me? What is that equation telling me? So kind of just doing that, understanding the concepts of creating a formula sheet will help you kind of summarize material without having to absolutely cram everything. If you don't know the day before, odds are you won't know the test day. What this means is focus on your strengths. If there is a subject in the class that you just did not understand all semester, you're probably not going to get it now. It's kind of already too late. So the thing to do is focus on the strengths. The exams are all about points. Don't sacrifice the majority of your points just because of one section you don't understand. Try to really harness and get those points by focusing on your strengths and also focusing on your preparation of your strengths. Doesn't mean totally neglect what you don't understand. Give it some time and definitely review some things you don't understand. Maybe it'll finally click. Maybe it won't. But make sure you do focus on your strengths. Get those points. Another thing that is kind of maybe sometimes forgotten about, make sure you rest after each exam. After each exam, take an hour, 2 hours to yourself. Just once you're done, just get away from the study. Don't even think about school. Get away from it. And then once you're done with that, you'll be able to review a little bit for your next exam, and you'll be more mentally refreshed. Variables that might affect the outcome, and then we'll wrap it up. Preparation. You prepared all semester. You prepared all study week. So you should be good on that. One late night. This can really ruin you. You get all that preparation all study week. You've been grinding so hard, but you stay up all night, drank a really big Red Bull, showed up to your 8:30 a.m. Exam. You go to the exam, you're kind of groggy. You haven't slept. You haven't ate. All that preparation is thrown out the window. Don't sacrifice your grade. Please get that good night's sleep and proper nourishment. Rest is very important. Another one. Sometimes this happens to me. This is maybe not as much anymore since going back into in person because when I experienced like testing anxiety. Testing anxiety is like I was really experiencing that during the pandemic. I always was just nervous during exams online for some reason. This could really affect your outcome and your score. Take a couple deep breaths. Do not get anxious. Do not get too nervous. Maybe the nerves can fuel you a little bit, but don't get too anxious and don't start overthinking. Don't get in your own head. Don't start questioning yourself. Believe in yourself that you'll be able to do it and have a positive attitude, and you'll be able to grind out and do very well. Just do not get super anxious because that'll be a recipe for failure. And just remain calm. If you're kind of getting a little bit overwhelmed, take a couple of deep breaths and just focus on the exam and know you can do it. I wish everyone luck. Bonus, we don't really have time for that. If you have any questions though about scholarships, internships, spring, summer job search, or research opportunities, you can definitely reach out to me. But I appreciate this semester with everyone, and thank you for allowing me to be your peer leader. And I hope you're able to learn something from me. I hope so. Thank you.